Hello gainers, welcome to the little channel on YouTube called Fitter Philosophy, in which I, Ralphie, your host, talk about practical, experience-based Stoic stuff, including observations, conversations and any other points of reference as regards some practical philosophy. And what I'd like to talk to you about in this video is basically a conversation I had in a coffee shop this morning. So I was in a coffee shop, the one that I don't normally go to. I went to the one that I usually go to, but then after I just got a few groceries, I thought, no, I'm in no rush here. Let's just chill out. Let's just go to this other coffee shop up the road. There's just a small coffee. I'm not going to overdo the caffeine or anything, so I've got enough experience in that. In that area. So I'm just sitting there, and there was a young lady and her mum sitting next to me, and the mum says, I'm just going to get my hair done, so she disappeared out. Meanwhile, the young lady hadn't finished her coffee. So all I did was say, are you having a lovely day? And she said, well, yes, yeah. Really busy at the moment. I've got a lot of decisions to make, and I've never been in this position before. So I just remained silent and listening, and then she opened up a bit more. She said, I'm not quite sure what to do with my life and my career. I was planning to be a vet, but I've had a change of mind, and I'm thinking about nutrition and, quality of life. And I'm thinking, actually, because I've got a friend that's got a YouTube channel, and I know that if you've got the content, you might be fortunate and get an audience. And I said, well, there's no harm in trying. And I actually gave her some advice from myself, because I've got a couple of channels here on YouTube, which she kind of jotted it down. She paid close attention, and we continued chatting. And she was telling me that the younger generation are really feeling it. The people around her generation, her friends, they're very much more aware of the damage to their health through the food supply. And it was really interesting to me to pick up on this generational difference in view and perspective. So she basically had a list of shops she would shop at and other shops, food shops, that she would boycott. And she used the word boycott, not ignore or occasionally buy in. It was absolutely, she would not buy there. And we discussed the fact that the food industry is putting out food for entertainment, not for nutrition. And food we presume to be nutritious is lacking in nutrition due to heavy processing. And she happened to mention to me, and this is what her research, not mine, that Kellogg's, the cereal company that produce all this breakfast cereal, occasionally I'll buy a packet of Rice Krispies, but that's about it. But when they put their added vitamins and irons in, they do it as mega cheaply as possible. So in fact, when they looked at the product under a microscope as part of their biology class, they could pick, in her opinion, they could pick up iron filings, iron powder mixed in with the cereal, which she said basically the body can't absorb. I mean, I found this very interesting because I'll have an occasional plate of cereal. Usually I have porridge for breakfast. Occasionally I'll have eggs, bacon and eggs, which is a great healthy breakfast. But here she's going several steps beyond me. She won't touch breakfast cereal because she's saying that the most valuable investment you can make is in your own physical health and your own mental health. And this is coming from a 17-year-old girl. She's roughly about 17, because she's in her last year at school before she goes to college and university, or whatever she's going to do. And I found it really heartwarming about the shift in attitudes and the growing cynicism towards the corporate deep state usury that goes on of the general population, which remains not just unaddressed, but more often than not completely unacknowledged, because an awful lot of people simply presume that it's normal. I remember back in the 60s, you would occasionally get a plate of cornflakes. But when I look at the cereal now, and I see brands like Crave, and I'm thinking to myself, is someone got a sense of humour when they name a high sugar content, ultra processed food Crave? Because it's going to induce cravings, because it's addictive. Is sugar the new tobacco? Is breakfast cereal the new cigarettes? It's not that long ago, I happened to mention to her, because our conversation just kind of evolved, to be honest. And I talked about how easy it is to go online and look back at the historical adverts for cigarettes and see them being promoted by doctors as a healthy option and a great way to lose weight. So there's nothing new here in corporate cynicism. It's a fact of life. What we agreed upon was just how naive the majority of people are. And as a result of that naivety and acceptance of artificial norms, people leave themselves very vulnerable and weak to harvesting. And when I mentioned the word harvesting, she immediately related to it. She knew exactly what I was talking about. That, in the same way that we're harvested for taxes, and it's a fact. I'm not saying anything controversial. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm simply observing it for what it is. That in the same way, our health is harvested for profits. Because when you think about it, the more you can poison the food supply as an investor, the more you're going to get back the more you're going to get returns on your investment in the pharmaceutical industry as people get older and get sicker and more dependent. Now that's harsh, but let me tell you this, I'm going to conclude on this. Life is dangerous. Life has always been dangerous. And it's when you try and create safe spaces, safe places, and challenge-free zones so that you're never troubled. That's the most dangerous place to be.